All right. Today is Thursday, December 8th. New project. And what I'm doing today, I already started it, but realized I needed to get my camera out. So what I'm doing today is installing this OEM clock that I ordered. I think I ordered this back in April. It finally came in. Actually, I've had it for probably a week and a half or 2 weeks now, but I'm just getting around to putting it in. But this is a clock that would have come in a Laredo package. I guess you could have ordered it with the Renegade just as an addition, but I think all Laredos would have had the OEM clock and the tachometer and stuff. And of course, I already put the tach in some time ago. I don't know if I ever videoed that or not, but there's the tach. And so now the correct location for the clock is over here. And as you can see, I already started drilling. So this hole right here was where I mounted a manual choke. But I want the clock in there bad enough that I'm taking that out. And if I do reuse that, it might be like under the dash here or something. I think I'm eventually going to go to a, it's called a Holley Sniper electronic fuel injection, because the carburetor is kind of problematic anyway. It's just got vapor lock, hard starting in the morning, and it's just not an efficient way to use fuel. Electronic fuel injection is much better, and the vehicle will get better gas mileage, start up easier, the whole 9 yards. But anyway, that's a project for down the road. So anyway, that was a mouthful. So what I'm doing here is basically I had to make a template that's the diameter of the clock so I could find exactly where it needs to be in there, as well as, if you may recall, I made some speaker covers. That's African Bobinga, because whoever owned this Jeep before unfortunately cut these little slats or slits, I don't know, these little bars that go across the speaker, the original speaker. They had some speaker covers over that apparently, that I don't know how they must have looked really bad, because when I tried to use them, they looked funky. These are good speakers. These are Alpine speakers, so they sound good. I didn't want to lose those. But I want to keep my cover. So what I had to do is find out where the clock needs to be. And then the very corner of this cover is going to have to be radiused, so I have to take some off. So I marked that, and I'll be able to, work that. So I got can still keep that cover, that speaker cover in there as well. So like I said, I already started drilling this and realized I needed to be videoing. I got this little hole saw kit from Harbor Freight Tools when I did the tach actually. And that's this little kit right here. So the main one I needed was that one, obviously. But I have used some others in here. This one here, I believe. Can't remember what I used it for, but I did. And this one. So these things are really handy to have. So anyway, OEM clock. So that's the little project for today and maybe into tomorrow, because I'm a little bit limited on time. I'm going to finish cutting that out and then get my wiring harness. I felt back there first, which, I had to do that, make sure I'm not drilling into anything. And the wire harness that's back there is hanging down a little low. It's not where I'm going to hit it, but it's going to have to move out of the way. So I have to kind of, finesse that thing. All right, here we go. Okay, so that jumped out. Fortunately I didn't scratch the dash, but I got a little bit of this. I was trying to be careful, got a little bit of this part of the steering column thing, but that's easily replaced, or it's not bad enough to worry about, really. Again, this is not a, what do you call it, concourse restoration here. This is a Kurt restoration, driver restoration. So anyway, all right, that hole's cut out. You can see right there, there's that wiring harness. So I didn't hit it, that's a good thing. So I'm just gonna have to push it up out of the way. It's really not a big deal. So that's that for that part. I'm gonna do some fit checking right now. All right. So I know it's the wiring harness though, so I just have to finesse that around. The main thing I was looking for is to make sure that I've got my spacing right with regard to where the clock is gonna sit. I think I do. Yeah, it's gonna be fine. So I'm gonna pull that back out, clean the edges of that because it is kind of gouging into the body of the chassis of the clock. Not really hurting anything, but so I gotta kind of file that down there and just get this thing, get the wires ready, get those hooked up, and should be fairly smooth sailing. Sharp edges in there. I'm just using an old file that I had in my toolbox. Metal shards.
Definitely cut yourself on those if you weren't careful. I think that's gonna do it.
Okay, that feels pretty good to me. So I think it's mainly main wiring harness right there that needs to stay up out of the way. But I don't need to worry about that quite yet. So what I'm gonna do is like I said, I'm gonna get the 3 wires ready, a red, a green, and a black. I think I've got that primary wire here. Get those ready, get those connected, and find out, you know, where I'm going to put them on the fuse block, which will be real simple. Actually, I'll take the ground to where I took the stereo ground over in here, and then I'll use the same hot wire and light switch wire that I did for the tack. So actually, the tack isn't on a hot wire; it's only on the ignition. So yeah, technically it's on. It's not a continuous though. So I'm gonna have to put the clock obviously on a continuous, not the ignition, for obvious reasons. Otherwise, it will only run when the car is running. That doesn't help anybody. So anyway, I'll get that set up and be right back. I got my 3 wires, 3 wires here. Got a green, got a red, got a ground black. So all I'm doing now is stripping the ends of the wires to get them ready to wire up. And by the way, here's that speaker cover. So you can see right here, I'm gonna have to radius that. So unfortunately that'll remove that screw, but that's okay because I've got these others and it'll hold in place, it won't be a problem. So I'll probably come to the outside of that, obviously, because that was right up against where the clock would be. I'll follow that line there, and so it kind of takes on the shape of the radius of the clock, and I'll kind of shave that back to there, and should be good to go. Then I'm gonna recoat this with some linseed oil. I got a little bit of a leak in where they put my windshield in. I don't know if it didn't seal it up right or what, but it's getting a little bit of water in it. When it rains real heavy, it gets in behind there and drips down onto the speaker. So I'm gonna have to probably address that eventually, but anyway. So yeah, got the wires ready. Now I'm just gonna attach them to the clock, which I've set in the Jeep, so I'll be back. And I've got the clock here. So these wires are gonna need to be some more wires showing in order for me to use my trusty wire nuts on them. So I'll show you that here in a second. Get off of there. Okay, so obviously gonna do red to red. Set this thing in here so it's easier. So what I'm gonna do is, instead of soldering those together, which I could do, just choosing not to do it, because even if you solder it, it's still gonna have to be black tape so it doesn't touch anything. So rather than do with that, I'm going to use from an assortment of my wire nut collection here. I'm gonna use wire nuts. Pretty common, use the blue one. Pretty common practice, really. For me, anyway. I'm not an electrician, but I know these things work. And they hold pretty good. Basically twisting the wire together. So there's the red one. Let me get the green one in here. Okay. All three wires are wire nutted together. And so now I can put this clock in position and then route these wires with the harness, you know, keep things clean and out of the way. So that's the next step. Okay, it's in there, guys and gals. So the reason I didn't show wiring and all that kind of fun stuff is because you really wouldn't see anything with my big fat head in the way. But basically, just the three wires had a ground, the hot wire, and then the illumination wire. So I've got a lot of different things going into this fuse block over here. So it's a little bit messy. I'm going to tidy that up a little bit more with some zip ties. But, you know, I've got the radio plugged in there. I've got the vintage air. I've got the winch. Well, the winch is run straight to the battery, but let's see what else. I've got the driving lights, all kinds of fun stuff in there. So anyway, I just had to figure out which one the illumination needed to go to, and I found it with my multimeter, and so I got everything hooked up and it's mounted in there. The only thing left to do is that speaker cover, but I'm gonna call it for today because I've got, you know, beer 30 is calling. But you can see the clock is working. It is now 4:45, and then when I pull the headlight switch on, yeah, you see that come on there, as well as the tachometer. So yeah, another little project, nearly complete. It's basically complete. Just gotta, like I said, do that little radius on the speaker cover part and put that back on. It's all done. So all right, catch you guys on the next one. See you. Okay, so the last thing I need to do is to trim this speaker cover here, like mentioned earlier. And I think what I'm going to do is use my combination belt disc sander to get it close, and then I'll finish it off with a handheld sander. So here we go. I'm gonna go test fit that. Okay, it's taken off enough up here, but I'm gonna finish this area down here. It's still a little bit close to the clock, so I gotta finish, you know, just take some more material off about the second half of it down in here. So like I said, I'm gonna use this manual method. Okay, I overcompensated, unfortunately, for this top corner here. So what I did is I took it down to about the same level there, and then I'm going to try to create more radius in here. I was basically just following the line that I'd drawn, but when I put the cover up to the place where it's going to mount, this is further away from the clock than it needed to be, but I guess it is what it is. So here we go. Okay, I'm gonna go look at that, see how it looks. Okay, I think it's pretty close. Again, it's a little bit further away from the clock radius than I wanted it to be, but that's okay, not a huge deal. It'll still work. Ultimately, I could remake these if I want to, out of a different wood even, so I don't know, I might do that eventually. I really like the shifter knobs, so I may end up getting some king wood or something at some point and making them out of that, just to match everything up. But I also like Bubinga, so what I'm doing here is just using a little bit of linseed oil, again, just on a blue shop towel. Gonna reapply some oil here, kind of freshen it up. And remember, said on the backside, I've got a little leakage from, I believe it's around the windshield, and it has to be storming pretty hard to get in, but nonetheless, when it gets in, it drips down along the face of the dash, and you know, gets behind the speaker cover. Hadn't affected the speaker, so that's a good thing. But yeah, it's just a little bit of a nuisance, but it is a Jeep. I may or may not really worry about it. I guess if I have nothing else to do, I might, you know, in the spring or summer or something like that. But it's not really that bad, actually. Okay, so that's gonna do it pretty much. Now I'm just gonna put this cover back on over the speaker. Screw it down, and we'll have a look then. All right. Okay, there it is. A little better than I thought. I was able to finesse things a little bit and get that to match the radius a little better. So this is the other one. Went ahead and put a second coat of linseed oil on it. So yeah, that's the end of another little project. So these are the driving lights, which I actually just leave on all the time. Like I said, if I reinstall the manual choke, I don't think I want to drill into that again. I'll probably put it down here or something like that, but I'm strongly looking at eventually doing a Holley has it's called a Holley Sniper EFI kit. I've heard, watched YouTube videos and read reviews on it. People really think it improves the drivability, the cold starts, any kind of vapor lock. All of those issues are solved. It even gets better gas mileage. So I'll probably end up doing that eventually. But anyway, just wanted to show that, and we'll catch you guys next time. Later.